Hi, this is Phil from Harley-Heaven Melbourne. Today we're going to do some basic servicing. This is a 2019 Fat Boy. It's a 114, got the Milwaukee 8 engine. And first thing we're going to do is start it up and get it to operating temperature. Once the vehicle is warm, you can then undo the drain plug. Make sure you got the right one. Putting the primary oil, it's a good idea to check the level. It has to be right at the bottom of the clutch basket. Next, we're going to check the transmission oil level. Transmission oil level is checked on the side stand, but we're just going to have a quick look to make sure that we didn't get any carryover. Yeah, looks different. Make sure you get the right drain plugs. Check them all in your service manual. Next, we're going to pull out the battery. To pull the battery caddy out, you have to have the engine dipstick out. It's a good idea to cover this so that no foreign objects enter the filler hole. To get to the positive battery terminal, it's a lot easier if you remove the seat beforehand. If your vehicle is armed with security, you have to disarm the vehicle before disconnecting the battery. Always remove the negative battery cable before the positive one, and that's to prevent accidental spark or arcing. Once you disconnected the negative battery terminal, you can then take the battery caddy out. Now we're going to remove the air filter. To clean it, just clean it using soap and water, depending on the type of filter. Some use oil and some don't, so you got to check. When you're looking at spark plugs, you want to make sure that the filament at the end isn't burnt or anything like that. And don't forget to check your spark plug gap before putting it back in the bike. Adjust the clutch. We're going to adjust it first here at the basket. Make sure that when you're adjusting a clutch that you're at the right spot, and once you are, you're going to go 3/4 of a turn out. The specification, half a turn to a full turn. The clutch lever, you want 1/8 to 1/16 of free play at the cable here. That's just to make sure that it's not too tight. So you just want to set it properly at the lever and then put in your lock and then double check that you got the proper adjustment. Make sure that nothing's binding and that the clutch is properly opening and closing. Always replace drain plug O-rings, never reuse them. They break and they'll cause leaks. And always use thread sealant on them. Don't just put new sealant on top of the old sealant. Always make sure to remove it. Now we're just going to put the drain plugs back in. Make sure not to mix them up. It's good to put them back into their original location. And always make sure to torque your drain plugs. Putting your battery back in, always make sure that it's clean and free of debris. If there's dirt on top of the battery around the terminals, it'll cause parasitic draw and you're going to lose the life of the battery. You then do up your positive terminal first. Put all the cables back in the proper orientation so that they don't rub up on anything, causing a short circuit or just getting damaged. On the Milwaukee 8 engine, you want to put about 3.8 liters of oil in there, and then we're going to warm it up and check it hot. The 6-speed transmission on the Milwaukee 8 takes about 1 liter of oil. It's checked on the side stand at operating temperature. Always replace your derby cover gasket. Be careful not to over tighten your derby cover screws. And you want to torque them in a cross pattern. Next, we're going to remove the oil filter. You could use an oil filter socket to get on the oil filter. This is a Harley one, Harley brand tool. Before putting on your new oil filter, you want to clean the surface really well. Your new oil filter, you want to fill it halfway. And then always lubricate the gasket surface. The oil filter is hand tightened. You just add maybe a 1/4 turn. Make sure to clean your oil cooler. Now we're just going to go around and make sure that we lubricate all of the pivot points on the motorcycle. This is a brake fluid tester. It's for .4 brake fluid. It checks the moisture content inside of the brake fluid. You got to check your brake fluid at every service and then replace it every second year, or if it's got too much moisture content in it. Battery's back in, so we're going to refit the seat. You want to check your wheel bearing for end play. Make sure that the wheel bearings are collapsed or that you have excessive end play in the wheel. And you want to check the brake disc run out, making sure that it's not warped, there's no dings in it, no stones stuck inside of the brake pads or anything like that. It's a good idea at this time to clean the brake disc. And now we're going to do the vehicle drive belt tension adjustment. So that's done on this specific model with the rear wheel down. And you want to use a belt tension gauge and press up on the belt 10 pounds. And what you're measuring for is deflection. Right away we have way too much. We've got over an inch of deflection, so we're going to have to tighten the drive belt. You can then bring your rear wheel back down and recheck your drive belt adjustment. A few things you want to check on the rear wheel. You want to check the rear tire. You want to check first for excessive run out. Make sure that there's not any weird spots, any pieces of thread missing, and that it doesn't have excessive wear. Now you can check with your tire thread indicators that they're not flush, and also check the depth, that you don't have more than 0.8 mils of wear. And then also you want to do tire pressures. We're ready now to put back our air cleaner, now that it's nice and clean and dry. Put Loctite on your air cleaner fasteners and make sure that your ventilation lines are well in place, because if they're not, then you're going to have oil leaking out of your air filter. An important part of the service is you want to make sure that there's no historic codes in the vehicle or current codes. We're going to also check for recalls, any open recalls, product campaigns. They've got to be dealt with. We're just going to check that it's got the latest fuel map. Looks pretty good. All right, now that we lubricated the throttle, we check the torque on the riser handlebar clamps, bolts, and we check all critical fasteners for torque. We're ready to take the motorcycle off of the bench. Now that we're on the ground, we're going to double check our transmission oil level. Looks pretty good. Now we're going to check the front tire and the front wheel bearing end plate, and the steering head end plate. We're going to check our steering head bearings, and then we're going to clean and inspect our brake disc and brake pads. We hope that you enjoyed the tech tips. Please give us a call here at Harley-Heaven to book in your bike for some servicing.